Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm keen to discuss and dissect the latest Arsenal result against Chelsea, drawing 2-2 at Stamford Bridge. And yeah, it was just a really challenging match for Arsenal. I mean, credit to Chelsea. I think that's the first thing we have to say is that they were outstanding. They were really, really good. They smothered Arsenal and had such a solid structure in their lines, their strikers, their midfielders, their defenders, that they just didn't allow Arsenal any outs or any way through their structure. So often Arsenal were penned right back into their own third and were passing it along their defensive line side to side, but there was never really any options further forward. And I think you have to really credit Chelsea's organisation for that, because they just didn't allow Arsenal any spaces from which to orchestrate the moves that we've become accustomed to seeing them. And on top of that, not only was their structure strong, Chelsea were also able to press Arsenal really high up the pitch. So Gallagher, Palmer were very lively, in particular Enzo, just snapping at the heels of the Arsenal players and occasionally catching them on the ball, and they were able to produce moments and create chances as a result of Arsenal being unable to break out of their defensive third. And we saw a number of opportunities. Obviously, they got the penalty after about 15 minutes converted by Cole Palmer. But then after that, Gallagher winning the ball, playing it to Palmer, he had a shot on goal. There was another incident where Enzo had a shot that went just over the bar. And generally, they were creating a lot of problems for Arsenal. And they were very much deserving of the 2-0 lead that they managed to get themselves into. In second half, there was a slightly fortunate cross come shot from Mudryk that did appear to catch Raya unawares. And I think it was slightly fortunate, but in terms of the balance of play, Chelsea fully merited that 2-goal lead throughout the course of most of the match. And obviously, it turned on its head through an error from Robert Sanchez, his pass being intercepted by Declan Rice, who was very quick and had great vision to anticipate that exact moment from which to shoot from outside the box. And it was a really pinpoint shot that just nestled into the bottom left corner. And then Arsenal, a wonderful team move, Havertz to Saka, lovely cross from Saka, the substitute, Leandro Trossard, coming on to the end of it, and a lovely cushioned finish to give Arsenal a 2-2 scoreline. And Nketiah could have then made it 3-2, but overall I think that 2-2 people is actually a pretty strong result for Arsenal, because I come away from that game thinking, wow, we've gone to a tough venue, we've gone to a good side with a good manager, Mauricio Pochettino, who looks like he's developing a system that is really finding its flow, finding its synchronicity. And they look a well-functioning unit. And for Arsenal to have come away from Stamford Bridge with a point, keeping ourselves in that top four, level on points with Man City, just behind them on goal difference, you'd think Tottenham will win in the Monday night fixture against Fulham, which would mean they would jump above Arsenal again into top spot. So, but generally speaking, people, even if that does happen, Arsenal are only 2 points off the top after 9 games. And this is exactly where I want Arsenal to be. I don't necessarily want Arsenal to be leading the table throughout the whole course of the season. I'm quite happy for us to just sit in the pack, in the leading pack, and just be within striking distance. So, and it's venues like Stamford Bridge where you come away collecting a point and you think, you know what, I'll take that. Given how the game panned out and how effective Chelsea were at nullifying Arsenal in our usual attacking and possession-based fluidity, we were just unable to break the lines. And I think Chelsea deserve an enormous amount of credit for that. And Man City have got to go there in a couple of weeks' time. And you think, okay, we've come away with a 2-2 draw. Let's see how Man City do. Tottenham haven't played Chelsea yet. Let's see how they get on against them. Other teams, will find it difficult going to Stamford Bridge because Chelsea are a very well-oiled machine that are only going to climb the table. So I think it's not a bad result, people. It's kept us our unbeaten run intact. And in terms of just some of the discussion, people, around other aspects of Arsenal right now, and the performance on Saturday was somewhat of a catalyst in bringing a lot of its issues to light. And one of those is just the performances of certain players and the decision-making of the coach, Mikel Arteta. Let's just start with something that's been spoken about a lot, which is the goalkeeping situation. And obviously, it seems as if David Raya has come in and, for the time being, taken the number one spot, assumed it from Aaron Ramsdale, who had been the predecessor prior to Raya's arrival. But I just feel there's been a lot of inflammatory and exaggerated discourse around this topic, because in reality it has only been 7 or 8 games that Raya's come in and been the number one, and people are just extrapolating it out and saying, how's this going to work in the long term? Well, you could really look at any aspect of any situation in life and think, oh, this is the short-term situation. How's it going to manifest itself in the long term? But we've got to treat every situation the same. So we can only judge and analyse what's happened and react and just go with the flow on this one, rather than these prophecies, these crystal balls looking at a potentially pessimistic route. Because what's to say that Arteta is undecided? Like, he may still be figuring it out, and he might be experimenting a little bit and just looking for different ways to play. And by giving Raya this run in the team, he's had a little bit of a body of work now from which to assess things. And we might see a little bit more of Aaron Ramsdale in the upcoming matches. Don't forget, his partner has just given birth to a child. Congratulations to both of them. This is Aaron Ramsdale's partner. And I just feel as if that might have also been in Arteta's thinking. He might have thought, look, after what Ramsdale went through last season with his partner, etc., that it was publicised in the sense of a miscarriage, that maybe that may have come into Arteta's thinking. He might have thought, you know what, let's just give Ramsdale a time away with his family, a little bit of a load off his mind, bring Raya in. And I just feel as if people are drawing these massive conclusions that Arteta somehow put his line in the sand and put his flag in the ground, so to speak, and there's no point of no return. He's made up his mind on Raya, and that's the end of Ramsdale's career. It doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that sort of binary. There can be a grey area where Arteta is still mulling things over and just picking the team for what he believes is best, in the best interest for the short term and the medium term and also the long term. So I'm sure that Arteta is figuring this all out. And in his post-match press conference, he said, look, the fans singing Aaron Ramsdale's name was unbelievable, really great to hear it, the support for him. And it sounded genuine. This isn't about Arteta v Ramsdale or Arteta v Ramsdale's fans. We're all in this together. We're all in the same hymn sheet, the same squad. There are no factions. And I feel that maybe people from the outside might be trying to create a sense of factionalism or division within the group, i.e. Gary Neville on his Gary Neville podcast talking about this can't work and Arteta's created a problem for himself. Very negative discourse. Why not spin that on its head and say, no, it's actually an innovation, a new idea, something that maybe we haven't seen before, i.e. giving 2 number ones this trial sort of scenario, or resting, however you may want to, rotation, however you may want to phrase it. But it doesn't have to mean that it's my way or the highway in terms of picking one and never the other, this all or nothing approach. It can be a blended scenario. And yeah, let's just give this its opportunity to grow and see what happens. And also, people, the whole fluidity and attacking situation. Again, what we have to bear in mind is Arteta and Arsenal have a very much a different set of circumstances this season. We're in the Champions League rather than Europa League, which means we're playing more high-profile matches more frequently, more important matches more frequently. So we do have to conserve energy. We have to make sure that our style of play is sustainable. And maybe this 100-mile-an-hour, fifth gear gameplay isn't necessarily desirable at this stage of the season. You have to bide your time and sharpen your knife slowly so you're ready to strike when the time comes. And so you have a squad that is able to last course and distance. Because if you think about running a marathon, if you're in the first quarter of the marathon, you're not going at 100% because it's not going to be sustainable for the whole race. So managing your squad, to use it in a footballing context, managing your squad, sustainable game style, that's how you're going to last the course and distance of the full Premier League season. So I'm not overly concerned, people, about the fact that we don't seem to be playing sparkling football at the moment, because we're still scoring goals, we're still creating chances. And in that second half, people, against Chelsea, I actually felt like we did have a few opportunities. And we did have some shots on goal. Martinelli had a shot that was blocked when he just jinked inside and had a really good effort there, but someone got in the way of it. Saka beat his man a couple of times on the right, and there was a moment where I think it was Tomiyasu had a shot that was deflected, but actually the corner wasn't given. And I think that came off the back of a second shot, or an initial shot that was charged down. Tomiyasu's was the second shot. So we were able to create chances in that second half as the game became a bit more stretched and maybe as Chelsea tired. So I don't think this lack of creativity is a completely fair reflection of what we are actually seeing from Arsenal at the moment. So let's just see how these next matches go, people. We go to Sevilla on Tuesday, but I'm relatively confident we can do something in that match and, yeah, move on from there, people. Either way, guys, I'll be back on the other side to discuss that one. And let's keep the narrative coming, people. And hopefully the Gunners can maintain this positive perspective on things in order to keep up a solid rhythm as we move into the next swing of matches. All right, people. Peace. Love.